for
Thank
5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Assistant Secretary Combs, for being here today. I found your testimony interesting, both your verbal testimony and your written testimony. With respect to the latter, you stated that President Trump has been clear in his direction and priorities, setting ambitious goals and challenging federal agencies to deliver better results. That statement confounded me because, if anything, the administration has been anything but clear in terms of its priorities and the funding levels that they would like for those priorities. And a great example of this over the course of the last 24 hours is the LWCF, which my colleague from the other side of the aisle was referencing. Do you know how much, or what percentage rather, the budget that the President submitted to this committee cuts the Land and Water Conservation Fund for fiscal year 2021-22?
I don't have that number, but I can get that for you.
So I have the number. The number is 97%. 97%. This is a program that is vital for countless Coloradans, supported by 77% of the people in my state that I represent. And this president's budget requested a 97% cut. Now, I don't know, Assistant Secretary, do you have a Twitter account or do you use Twitter?
No, sir.
Okay. Yesterday, the president, I applaud you for not using Twitter. The president tweeted out a statement, which I will read. I'm calling on Congress to send me a bill that fully and permanently funds the LWCF and restores our national parks. When I sign it into law, it will be historic for our beautiful public lands. So my question to you is, does the Department of Interior intend to submit an addendum to the budget that you've submitted to Congress to fully fund the LWCF?
Well, let me...
Or rather, I should say, when do you anticipate sending the addendum to fully fund LWCF, since the President of the United States has announced that that is his intent?
Well, let me again state that I said his leadership and support for this unprecedented effort is an extremely significant signal for the cause of conservation. And so the President, I don't have a Twitter account, but I heard about what he had said, and the department is supportive of this. I believe that Secretary Bernhardt is making similar statements over in the Senate Energy and Natural Resources Committee today.
I again, am confused as to how this committee is to proceed. Are we to believe the budget that the Department of Interior has submitted to the Congress of the United States, or the President's tweets, or some combination of both? Because it's unclear to me how we proceed. The LWCF program, in my view and in the view of many of my colleagues, should not be sustaining a 97% cut, as the Department of Interior has suggested. And so I would encourage you to visit with the Secretary to submit the addendum that the President is apparently calling for, because otherwise this Congress has left with little direction from this administration about how to proceed. Last point I will make with respect to the National Park Service, because on this point I do agree with my colleague, Representative McClintock from California. I happen to represent a district that includes Rocky Mountain National Park, one of the most iconic parks in the United States. Last year, we had record visitation, and yet this budget proposes a $23 million decrease in facilities operation and maintenance, an $18.7 million decrease in visitor services. This is not a partisan issue. Many of my colleagues have districts that are home to some of the most treasured national parks in the United States. And this administration is gutting deferred maintenance and visitor services for these parks. And I know you all are getting calls from constituents just as I am, who are completely frustrated by the inability of the federal government to take care of these national treasures. So with respect, Assistant Secretary, while I appreciate you being here, I don't think it is sufficient to simply say that we're protecting these parks when the budget does not reflect those priorities. And I will give you an opportunity to respond.
Let me again say that we have been trying for 3 years to ask Congress to please fund the Public Land Infrastructure Fund, would address exactly the concerns that you have raised. And so I fully support the Public Land Infrastructure Fund, and we did...
So with respect to Assistant Secretary, if that's the case, why are you asking to decrease visitor services by $19 million? That will result, by the way, in about 1,000 employees in the National Park Service losing their jobs nationwide. Why is the Department of Interior asking Congress to do that?
I think if you take a look at the budget, for our budget, I'm presenting the president's budget for fiscal '21 and comparing it to fiscal '20's budget. And in the delta between the two budgets, we ended up with increased money into deferred maintenance, and a little reduction from the '20 budget in construction because of the additional insight and attention to what constitutes new construction.
I yield the balance of my time.
Madam Secretary, thank you.